Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
What is going on, my Impact Wrestling fam? Welcome to a special edition of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast, episode 130. We're doing this at 4 p.m. Eastern on Super Bowl Sunday. Just trying to see who could roll in here, if anyone rolls in at all, but also give us, and myself, time to watch the game if we're interested or whatnot. But I always feel like I start the show. My name is Geoff, by the way. Did I say that? I don't know. You guys know the deal. Whoever comes in here, I'm happy to have, and if you guys all catch up later on YouTube or audio or somewhere in between, I appreciate you, and I thank you. Yeah, I feel like when we do this, I always start the show, generally speaking, we got a lot to talk about. And most of the time we do, for sure. But this time, I really mean it. We have a lot to talk about. There's a lot to get to. I'm still going to keep us within that hour span. You know the deal. I'll never go over the show that I'm reviewing. But we're going to have a good time in the process, go over power rankings quickly, knock out some plugs, talk about what's happening in the world of Impact Wrestling and New Japan Wrestling, which seems hand in hand these days. You'll see it on the bottom. We made a joke about it on Twitter not too long ago. I might have did it Thursday night, actually. Just about New Japan has crossed the line. Now, you can see this partnership. I talked about it a little bit last week. We'll dive into that in Hot Topics, including Steph DeLander's debut. Deonna update. We have an Ospreay and that update. So really exciting things going on in the world of wrestling and Impact Wrestling specifically. But without further ado, let's jump right into power rankings. Let's get into that. I'll tell you how you could join, how you can make an impact and a difference. Join the power ranking committee.
Number 10, No Surrender PCO. Number 9, The Hex and James Mitchell. Number 8, X Division Champion Trey Miguel. Number 7, Myers and Cardona, The Major Players. Number 6, number 1 contender Rich Swann. Number 5, The Juggernaut Jordan Grace. Number 4, World Champion Josh Alexander. Number 3, Tag Team Champions The Dead Dolls. Number 2, World Champion Mickey James. Number 1, Digital Media Champion Joe Hendry.
All right, what do you guys think? Let us know, and more importantly, if you want to make an impact, if you want to have a say in these power rankings, all you do is give us your 1 through 10 after Impact Wrestling on Thursdays before Sundays noon, and we do the rest, okay? It's at Burt Macklin 11 or at TNAIWChannel on Twitter. Just write us, and we'll get you in there and start it. And welcome to Real Joe Live 83, who is the latest to join the group. Of course, on Tuesdays, most importantly, you can watch GoGoPowerRankings back at a normal time at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. PST. What's going on, Io? Fly, Eagles, fly, right? You're a Philly guy. For the record, I have no stake in the game. I'll just be saying ignorant stuff throughout the for both teams. But yeah, on Tuesdays you could check Dotla, Burt, and Lucha. Going strong, man. Building a following there, having a good time doing it. Check them out every Tuesday and see what they have to say about this. As far as what I have to say, I say it's gonna be difficult, man, and that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. We have every segment being taken up by something that matters. Every segment being taken up by a wrestler that matters, or a personality that matters. The show is looking good, sounding good. As far as beginning to, well, we'll get into all that. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but. Once again, yeah, I thought the power ranking is good. Joe Hendry at top. We'll talk about why I think that's very well deserved. Io says he's just here for Rihanna. I can't blame him. But yeah, it's we're in a good spot. And I think there's a lot of people that could have made a play on their Bullet Club, obviously making a presence on the show. Motor City Machine Guns in that segment as well. Hell, Ospreay and Kenta. A lot of people, a lot of places to get nominations. So, but I like it. And make sure you make an impact and join the Power Ranking Committee. All right, you guys can tell it's a 4 o'clock show. But let's get an impact on Access TV. And as I say, week in and week out, it always starts with BTI for me. If you're not going to want to watch a review show about the show you just watched, which I understand, even though Gia and Josh do a great job there, I would say at the very least, especially if you're a YouTube watcher like myself, you got that 30 minutes before Impact starts, the match and the Iceman Intel. But of course, we're going to hit you with it. Iceman Intel for the night was Rosemary's Dad is Upset, and this popped me. There's been quite a few Iceman Intels lately that have, but the reason with this is I love Kevin Sullivan. I love the Undead Realm. And spoiler free here at the show. It was exciting later to know that James Mitchell might be part of this, and he was. So really excited. I'm a mark for all that stuff, the Undead Realm, as I said. And we'll see where it goes. But we know where it's going in the present, which is pretty cool. But that's the Iceman Intel. Now the match, as I say, week in, week out, not only are bangers, but storylines tend to be included or developed or whatever in this segment. But this was no different. Mike Bailey picking up a win over Raj Singh here. Raj with Shira. Both Raj and Shira, I want to put them over first because obviously I love Raj. Really think this dude could be the Kingston in a way. He's just got a different swag to him, man. And once they give him that whatever it is, they got him looking good. They look like The Rock in the 90s. Him and Shira with the gold watches and shit. I like it. I said from more recently what they should do with Bhupinder is, and they gave him a leather jacket, which I dig. But put him in this style, give him some Lambos, man, and make them a different group. I like what's going on here. We're going to see them featured later as well. Another losing effort, but hey, getting on TV, getting multiple segments, including mic time. So good for them. Now, as far as Mike Bailey is going to pick up the win here, and then he's going to pick up the mic. First of all, Mike Bailey is super over, which is awesome. Let's shout out to Burt Macklin, 11, by the way, joining the group there. The aforementioned Burt Macklin is who you could write to join the Power Rankings Committee. But yeah, the thing for me with Bailey was everyone wanted to, send him to the moon right away. And talent alone, I understand that. But to build himself up, to get him this, especially when his character isn't in your face, there's no real super gimmick to him. His wrestling does the talking. You needed him to have at least the crowd behind him to say, okay. Like same with Joe and all those people of the past. It's like, okay, do they really have a gimmick? Not so much. But when the crowd hears their music and they're revved up to hear, to see what's going to happen in that ring, it's nice. So Mike Bailey's getting that now. Now's the time to do some good shit with them, as they have. But they're giving him Gresham. So he Gresham on BTI last week had put out the open challenge to Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey's accepting here. And right now, I said, they're putting the rocket on the mic. But it feels like since day one, he's always had this kind of aura around him, right? I think that maybe that's just him in general. That's my cat. Yeah. But once again, the crowd's behind him, and now he's getting these big time matchups. It was started with Josh. We thought he was going to waver after he lost the X belt. Had the pit fight, as Bert's saying in there. And got a little edge to him. And now he's going to have Gresham and then eventually Ospreay. They're setting him up. I still think Team Canada should be the play. I'm going to be a homer, and I'm going to keep saying that. But either way, I dug this. So let's get an impact on Access TV, the main card, if you will. This felt like, and I think I said to you guys in the chat, the TNAIW one, it just felt like this was Cardona's goodbye party. Gave him a lot of segments here. I won't jump too far ahead, but really using Cardona while you have him. And shout out to him once again for just on the way out for everything he's doing outside of this company and within, putting people over all the way till the end. So respect. But he's getting no shrimp cocktail. He's not getting, it's not his dressing room. It was Joe Hendry's. He's not getting shrimp. And he's upset. He's a star. He should have his shrimp. Anyways, we're starting this off with the qualifying match for No Surrender's #1 contendership 4-way. Brian Myers, the other piece of major players here. Nice to see them both making the rankings, which we'll talk about. A little bit of Brian Myers in Cardona, where this could be headed before he leaves. I don't know. But Brian Myers advancing here, not too much to it. Obviously, always going to be a good match. One of the things I say with both these guys are the gimmick of most professional for Brian Myers translates to both of these guys. Solid ring work, always entertaining, always telling a story. Outcome predictable. Yeah, I think we could have saw that coming. But good to see Dango get some rub here. Honestly feels like after Anthony Green didn't stick around, they just kind of scooped up Dango, and he's going to fill the good work rate kind of out there character. I don't even know if that's Anthony Green, if that's a fair assessment, but I really enjoy him here. Like the music, very David Bowie Let's Dance. I think if you want to get him over, put a little something on that intro so people know he's coming. Let's get weird. I think it could be some interesting stuff you could do with Dango here. New shirts for both these guys as well. Check out. Should be in the Tron if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I like Brian Myers getting the win. Like him advancing. Yeah, keep him relevant. New signee or extender as well, right? Next, we're going to go into Giselle and Jay, and they're, of course, strutting around the corner. Music's playing, and then they go to catering. And I guess the gimmick is she's a Black Widow, and she ruins people's meals. Was that the thing? I don't know. Felt like some inner stuff going on there. I don't know. Projecting on these people, these poor people just trying to eat their food in catering. Which we'll find out in a second is salty chili. But Deonna confronts Giselle and was staying out of her business until Giselle mentioned her friend Chelsea. Getting a lot of Chelsea remarks here, which was nice. Macklin saying this was too heel for me. You can't ruin people's food. Yeah, I mean, they're both heels technically, right? Or is Deonna taking the face spot here? But let me run through this and then I'll tell you my first reaction to all of this. Because next we're going to get the chili thrown and in Giselle's face, taking one for the team for the sake of comedy. Santito coming in, tasting that salty chili, and setting up a match for No Surrender between Deonna and Giselle. Now, last week I said, for the Black Widow character to make sense, Giselle has to take out some more people that will not be around. And we will talk about Deonna's contract in the Hot Topics portion. But up until yesterday for me. But until that point, when I saw Deonna be the one that confronted Giselle first thing I said was, ruh-roh. Ruh-roh. Yeah, I was thinking the worst, to be honest. I said that, obviously she has to take someone out. Deonna's contract was coming up. That would suck if she was the first one she ran into, and that's who she ran into. So, yeah, my spider sensors were going off. We'll get to that later. But I know some of you guys said Taya as well, and there's some other things she go, but Deonna's first. They're going at No Surrender. We'll get more into that later. Next up, Gia's doing triple duty. I didn't mention that on BTI. Not only is she doing BTI itself, she's doing commentary for the BTI match. And now she's doing her backstage thing. Gia, obviously, the next in line of inheritance from Christy Hemme and Jeremy Borash. Great shit. But she's talking to Trey, and I love this kind of stuff, man. I don't know if it's for you guys, but aesthetically it's pleasing. It's good to keep the storylines going without giving the same storylines and different things. Have it's done before? Sure, it's been done before. But to have Trey, who's kind of a pompous character now, be scared by some flickering lights and some other things is good shit. Keeping, the mystique around Decay, even though we'll see. 'Cause I think there could be some wars going on soon, right? But yeah, I enjoyed this. It kept it going on. The feud between Trey and we'll call it Decay because it was Black Taurus and now it's Crazy Steve, but it looks like Crazy Steve's probably going to get that match at No Surrender. But Trey was originally done with him. Is he now? We'll see. I don't really know if it's if it's up to Trey. But Bert saying Trey is even better as a heel. Oh, I think so for sure. We wanted him to have that next thing that pushed him into that stratosphere, and this definitely is. And I think it's going to get better and better with him, especially if we get the filthy animals. Filthy rascals. Filthy ass. There we go. But let's keep this show going. Next up is the Good Hands. Once again, segment after segment of continuing something, developing something, putting people on the screen that deserve to be there. I dig this, man. I really dig this. But the Good Hands starting off with the mic. They're starting to feel more like a tag team. They're starting to get a little mic work in here. If it was their show, they'd be winning all these matches, but they're going to lose again here to Hardcore Country, the team of Tommy Dreamer and Mickie James, the women's the Knockouts champion, world champion. But once again, look, there's multiple ways to bring people in. There's multiple ways to test the waters on something or to develop someone. So I'm okay with the Good Hands going this route. They're still getting the rub from Bully Ray, which we'll get to in a second. They're still forming something that's going to, seems to be guaranteed to be on our TV screens once a week. So, hey, good for them. Great to have Hotch get a place on the screen. Skylar as well, who was on our roster page, but not really on our roster page. So I really like this, man. And this is one of those tag teams that will sneak up on us when we have, which we already have. We have the Bullet Club. We have MCMG. We have some other tag teams stepping up. Decay, who's never been really used in that form with the gas pushed down. So we'll see. But I think this is one of those tag teams that will click, like really hit when we already have some other things formed, just adding more depth to this division. So I like where this is going for them. No harm, no foul with the loss here. Getting a big-time matchup sponsored by Busted Open Radio. This is the Busted Open segment of the week. Hardcore Country picking up the win. Bully coming out here, man. Sneaking into the ring. Bully sneaking into the ring. Never something I never thought I'd say, but he does. And he takes out Tommy. He's about to confront Mickie, but Mickey's not going to have any of that. Mickie looking wonderful as always. Got to give credit where credit is due. And Masha, Bully was stalling. Masha on the sneak. Taking out Mickie. Now, look, I don't know what's going to happen here. I still, I have my big tinfoil hat theory with Mercedes. It looks like Mercedes is going to come in one facet or another to Impact either way. But I said there had to be something that took Masha off her trajectory of just coming in and then being that third time's the charm. She snaps it and beats Jordan. Obviously, they sped up Hardcore Country thing. The last rodeo. There you go. She wins. Now she's defending against Masha. Masha's still getting the rub here from Bully. Loved the segment last week. Loved this for her this week. Once again, Bully being so credible and working with the Good Hands, working with Masha, working with Josh, talking to Macklin. A lot of good stuff with Bully, man. And this is another piece of that. But Masha looking like a viable champion here. Does she take it? I don't know. But it's not like she's looking. It's not like they're gonna have to build her up from square one again. I don't think this was much of a detour from where she was. And she looks. It's Masha, so she's great. She's over. Bert saying, I wonder if this leads to Nick Aldis for Bully Ray match. Now I talked about that last week a bit. Is it possible? Before I said I don't think it needs to go there, but there's only so many places Bully can keep pushing Mickie, and Mickie could keep pushing back to where this leads to, right? So we'll see. He's obviously a free agent, obviously makes sense in a lot of different ways for Impact, but another OG, so to speak, couldn't hurt the brand. Now, I've obviously self-admittedly have had my thing with Aldis for a bit, or Magnus. I'll say Magnus. I knew him as Magnus in that period. always wanted him to get that push. Didn't feel like it worked out the best. He'll admit that as well. But I thought they he had a good, decent run, but wasn't my bag, man. And then, of course, on the exit, of course, he's going to say things on the way out that really taint it even more and, make it worse. And then you start nitpicking and, the immaturity of it comes into play on my end as well. But seeing it as Nick Aldis and the work he's done is a reclamation project for me, man, that I didn't think I would. I don't even know if I'm probably not even just a term. Treehouse Tuesday. It's not even Tuesday. I'm just trying to make it by, guys. Super Bowl Sunday. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, no. Either way, my point is the point he is at now. I think he only adds to the product. I don't want to take away from that, from speaking of past things, and whatever. But all we can look at is from now, what is he going to do with Impact? There's a lot of history and video footage that they can use there. And they've done a great job using it with Bully. Why not make more into it? And there is the thing of Main Event Mafia, even though that's one of my gripes with him. Maybe he shouldn't have been in there. And Aces and Eights, right? So there's some play in there as well. But before we get off too far off the rails, let's keep going here. And Santino is with Swinger, Dice, and Dango. That's going to be the segment here. One, I want to give Santino props because last week I forgot to admit this. Or talk about this. But out there spitting bars, my friends. He said he's going to drop the hammer and put Thor back in Authority, and I thought that deserved some props, and I forgot to give it to him. So kudos to Santino for that. But he's here, and Swinger and Dice just want to get one of those victories on the road to 50. I as well. I want to see some dungeon. And I think that would, with the cast of characters that are here and that they're bringing in, I just think having a meeting ground like that could only add to some good comedy, especially with Santino, now Dango. I like it. But Dice says he has someone that he knows Swinger can beat, so we'll see who that is. But between Santino and Dango here, man, a lot of, and let me know if you any office heads are picking this up, but a lot of Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute, right? I'm the director of Authority, or the dictator of Authority, and he's the assistant dictator, whatever. I like it. Deputy dictator. I dig it. I like that the role for the both of them, especially since Santino should normally be the one that annoys people. To have Dango annoy him is just, it's good shit. Now, going on to a package for Rich Swann, and I thought this was good, man. I thought this was really good. Obviously, the production team always nails these packages, especially when you have previous footage to build up to, and his injury and his win, and then it being during the lockdown stage, so there was no audience, and then the match with Omega that he as well will say probably wasn't his best work, and I have to be transparent, honest, and unbiased here. I love Rich Swann. I say it all the time. Bell to bell, there's very few that can beat him when it comes to what I want to watch. You're going to get his music hits, you're going to be entertained from that point forward. So it's nothing against him. I don't know if the first World Championship was, and I think a lot of it had to do with the crowd. It's hard to, when a babyface runs off of the excitement of people excited to see them as champion finally, right? I think it was a hard climb for him. I think you're going against Omega and all that weird stuff where people are on one side, on the other, don't want this match, do want this match, mad at AEW. I think there's just so much shit in there. So I don't think he got his proper due either, man. Because this dude is an Impact guy. I don't want to say it like this, but I don't mind if he becomes champion at some point. Mind, I know, sounds whatever. But I think there's so many other, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you want to see Rich as a champion? I mean, with the crop of people we have there, do you want to see him as the world champion? I would say this. I'm not against him winning it again whatsoever. Okay? Even Eric Young came back and got another victory there and got to rectify his last championship. Or whatever, or however you want to perceive that. So I'm all for someone getting a real chance to run with it, with real management, all that stuff, and a crowd and whatever. I don't know. At the same time, Io says, I want Rich as a top player. I'll say that. Rich promo was phenomenal. He sounded like a guy who cared and got, like he let the company down the last time when he lost. Yeah, man. Look, there's no debating that. Rich is a top player, should be a top player, should always be in a championship contenders, winning something, DMC, tag, X, even the occasional world. I'm okay with that. Let me get that clear. But as far as the champion you run with, I think you got Macklin. You got Kazarian, who's coming in here, and he's not coming for no reason. You still have Moose and Sammy and those people lingering. Eddie's always going to want to be in contention. You got Gresham, who's going to work his way up. You got Aldis maybe coming in here. So there's so many things to play. That's my point. I don't think his opportunity's lost. He's too good for that to happen, to be taken away from him. So he's always going to be a top player for me and hopefully for the company, especially being a company guy. But for him to win, what I will say, and this is what I'm going to do, is I want it to be, yes, this was a great promo and stuff. I don't want it to be at no surrender. If we're going to give him the championship again, if you're going to give him the ball to roll with, set him up the best possible way that they can do. Build it up. Just I said this with the Bullet Club about winning the tag team titles. Let it build. Let the fans want it. Put some story and some depth into it. So when the babyface wins, because Rich is always probably going to be a babyface. Let's be honest, right? You could see him play heel, I guess, but he's too likable. Maybe hey, more power to him. He's a talented dude. I'm sure he could play whatever they give him. I don't know. I just want him to build the right way. Give him a storyline that makes sense. Do it like have. Obviously the heart and soul company thing, you want to go on that route, go for it. But let him beat a major heel and let it be a thing. I want it to be done right this time. And that's, next up is Steph DeLander, her debut, and she's going to start right away by taking the mic. Now, Steph Amelia, I don't know anything of her, besides that her NXT, she had a little NXT play there. Didn't know she was Australian until she talked. Not that that makes a difference, but cool to set her aside. Her look does that as well. I said there's a possible play here with, she's got a good presence, big size, man. Her and Savannah could do some damage together. That'd be something cool. Start something from scratch, kind of like the Good Hands, but different. I don't know. You could tell she's a little green, looked a little whatever. Steph did not look like the moment was too big for her. Interesting. I thought the opposite, honestly. I thought the match was good. I thought the promo was, a little all over the place. I think she has to learn, just take some calm and whatever. I think that's all it was. Looking at Hard Cam doing that. That'll come with some time. And she's losing to Jordan Grace, though, which, once again, hard-fought battle. Looked dope. Was an awesome match. She had a presence. Looked... this is something to have someone who looks like can dominate Jordan. I think Savannah could pull that off as well. But I think that's cool. I think this girl's money. I thought the Grace driver at the end was brutal looking. But I'm happy that, and I know I saw a little bit of a thing on Twitter. Why would she lose? Why would they have the new girl lose? Well, I'll tell you. Well, there's a couple reasons. One, from a storyline purpose, do you want the new person to always come in and win? Like that trope, do we want that? New person come in, win, always. No, I don't want that. You need to bring in people in different ways, like we said with the Good Hands and whatever. There's other ways to bring, people to the table. Two, she's losing to Jordan Grace, who was the former champion and is the most dominant knockout in most recent history. Okay, no harm, no foul. She's getting put, she's still getting to play with Jordan here. She's not it's not a squash match. She got a lot of burn. Three, for me, so many were asking that question. Hello, we don't know if she's staying. Yeah. Number 3 is that. Gone are the days where we kiss ass to any NXT person who just, releases, let's send them in here, let's let them beat our people, and, they're not going to sign, okay, but we at least put that seed. We're making our way up. Look, same with Anthony Green. He came in, he had a couple matches, didn't end up working out. No harm, no foul, didn't put over anyone for us. Or excuse me, he didn't go over anyone. really. So, right? Both losses. So what you're doing here is you're setting the precedent. You're testing the waters. Just saying this isn't an open door like, oh, you got that WWE rub or that AEW rub. We're not giving you the red carpet anymore. I'm okay with that as an Impact fan behind this, that kind of thing. We got to look at it that as well. There was a day where this person would have got, hey, a little bit of, you got a little bit of, NXT insert here, whatever rub, come in, beat all of our people. We'll see if you sign. We're going to let you win so you look good and make you feel good. So then you will sign, and then it doesn't happen. So we should be happy as fans that this is, the new precedence. So I don't think, once again, I don't think there's harm in the loss. She lost to Jordan. You don't want the same story told all the time. And if she signs, it's not like she was squashed by Jordan Grace. She was beat by the last champion prior to our current one. I don't know. I thought she looked good. I think there obviously needs to be some polish and some shining there. But if she signs, I think she's a damn good player. And it doesn't mean she needs to be number one contender tomorrow just because she signed. I think the tag team division is something that these new knockouts that come in should have to go through. Gone are the days of, oh, you come in, you're already going for the Impact World Championship. Should be something we're happy about. And then if she doesn't make it work, once again, she's not on the Impact roster page. There's no signing. We didn't make a cross the line thing. We're not going to, so until it's official, it's not official. But I like it. I like her. I like the look, I like the sound. I think with Impact's management and booking, sky's the limit. So we'll see. What do you guys think, though? Should new talent always just come in and start winning? Talent that our audience might not even, including myself, give any, I'm not saying give any fucks about. I do now, but coming in, the name wasn't. Oh my god, So let me know. What do you guys think? Should that be always the thing? New person comes in and wins. High orders quickly responding. Hell no. I'm with you, man. But yeah, let me know. That is a question I actually have written down here. Next up is Cardona's What About Meing It? Thought it was a perfect time for Raven to pop out. But instead, he's going to change outside after complaining about his dressing room. Burt Macklin saying, wins are difficult. Swingers still searching for 50. Oh, man. It's about to hit it. Maybe age-wise. But I hope he gets the win, man. I said I want them to finally, him and Dice, to win the tag team champions. I have that like bromance-like moment. But if it's them getting the 50 wins so they can open Swingers Dungeon, it is good for me. So, I hope it happens. Next, we got a New Japan ad for February 18th with Mercedes' lovely face plastered all over it. But we come back, we're going to talk to Gia's with the champion, Josh Alexander. Swinger asking for a push made me laugh. Always a one-hit king, that Johnny Swinger. But she's talking to Josh Alexander, our champion. He's putting over Swan about how they're friends, how they respect him, how Swan didn't get his match, but at No Surrender, they are opponents. I said I still would love for Josh to take Rich as his reason to turn heel, or go a little over, as his buddy Mike Bailey did with Kenny King. Go a little over. Doesn't mean you're full heel, but snap a little bit. We love Angry Josh. To keep this belt on him and keep him fresh, I think that makes sense. Once again, I don't see Swan coming over here. But then that next shot, if you were telling me Swan gets a rematch and then he wins, I'm not saying that's the route I want to go. I still think Macklin is, I want to build up a couple world title contenders on the regular in Macklin and Josh. But I wouldn't be mad against that either. At least then Swan has that opponent to be, have to overcome. And I like that. But Swan's going to come in here as well. And forgive me if I'm doing this backwards. It's all jumbled, my notes. But he's going to come in and they're going to talk, hey, okay, cool. We're having this match. Good times. But Kenny King's going to come in and he's talking about nepotism and tickle butt. And maybe Rich comes in after that. Yeah, Rich comes in after. There we go. Get my facts straight. Know the product, Geoff. But yeah, so Kenny King's gonna talk and talk shit to Josh first. Rich is gonna come in, and then Rich is gonna sucker punch him, man. Rich is just gonna punch Kenny in the face, and Kenny's not gonna retaliate, which is a smart play, 2-on-1. But Josh exits himself. But we're gonna get Kenny Rich this coming week, which, look, might seem impromptu, but they do good shit like this, man. There was the little Easter egg, I guess you would say, or breadcrumb as we call him, where he's walking down and he's bragging about, beating Bailey, but at the same time he sees Jack Price and Aiden Prince, and he says, stop talking about Swan, who's Swan? So a lot of mention of Swan building up to this, even though it's a short period. I like this, man. Plus these two are going to put on a banger, and I agree with the chat, man. Kenny King is in his best run in Impact, and this is coming from a Kenny King mark. M-A-R-K mark. Yeah, it's clicking. It's clicking. He's on another level. And once again, another person whose music hits or pops up on your screen, and just you can sit back. I like that, man. I would say we need more of those, but we're keep hitting segment after segment of those. Speaking of which, next up is a non-title match for the Knockouts Tag Team titles, and we're getting Kelly and Wilde coming together here. We thought, okay, they're going to be a team. This is where they're going to go with that. It doesn't seem the case. They're going to lose to the Death Dolls, as Taylor Wilde will not help Killer Kelly. She's reading the cards and she's seeing something else. Interesting that she's seeing some witchy, some stuff, some devil, all of that, and she pieces out, right? Does this mean they can't coexist? I don't think so. I think it just meant she saw the writing in the cards, literally. First of all, Rosemary and Taya being the Death Dolls in the Freebird rule this week, successfully beating Kelly and Wilde. But after the match, Taylor's premonition comes true. James Mitchell, Father James Mitchell, love Father James Mitchell, mark for James Mitchell, comes out and he introduces the Hex. So the Hex is here, the NWA's Hex. We don't know if they crossed the line officially, but either way, this is what Rosemary's dad was Iceman Intel was insinuating with. Rosemary's dad is upset. Father James Mitchell did show up. Love that. Love to hear the new church music anytime it plays. In the Hex, man. Now, two women who, former knockouts, one of them being a former knockouts champion. It just full circle. Kind of with Eldest, same thing for me. Not to that degree, but just excited to see what the seasoning of Elsewhere has done for them. They already have a look. They already have a gimmick in play here. They already have a viable brand. James Mitchell, was he part of that with them in NWA? Either way, dope. And this is what we wanted. So even if Killer Kelly and Wilde doesn't work out to make that tag team, we now officially have two. And forgive me if I'm overstepping somebody here. No, but I think that's literally it, right? Death Dolls now, and now we have the Hex. Hey, man. Happy to see it. Love it played out like this, and I still think there's multiple ways you could go with this. Does Taylor Wilde join the Hex? That's interesting. Do they have a new church for knockouts? You could see the Knockouts Valentine's Day promo pic down on the Tron. And when Mickey tweeted that out, she tweeted out Knockouts World Order. Hey, man. The more they keep adding to this division, and I think it only gets better from here, even if they're not signed, the people that come in soon, I mean, another level. Especially with the way that Gail runs them in the booking, of course. But another level stuff here. Knockouts World Order, I believe it. I was saying help his way on the way for the tag division. Yeah, man. Looks like NWA could be a breeding ground for seasoning some Knockouts tag teams, man. But either way, happy to have them on board. Happy for this division to continue to grow. So these feel like two mainstays. I hope so. I hope we can put the cross the line thing out for them. As soon as we get word on that, man, the better. So cool. Let's keep this going. Raj and Shira are backstage, another segment for them, which is awesome. And they're talking to Eddie about PCO. Shira's got PCO tonight for the qualifiers. Next up, Motor City Machine Guns are talking to Kushida. Time Machine. There was Time Split. Yeah, no. What was it? How am I losing my brain? It was one thing, and then they changed it, and we felt like it sounded better. Somebody help me out here, guys. Either way. So there's a mini reunion with them, and they're talking about maybe going after the trios titles, which is pretty cool. They already have the Strong titles, and they have the Impact Tag Team titles. So they're talking about that, and Bullet Club comes in, Ace and Bay, and Time Machine is the trio. Okay, Time Splitters is Shelly and Kushida. Okay, always second guessing. Bert saying Ace and Bay are the best thing in wrestling. Yeah, man, they're growing. They're growing, and literally, Bullet Club is growing because at No Surrender, the Time Machine, Motor City Machine Guns and Kushida, will be facing Bullet Club, Ace and Bay, and Kenta. So not just just Kenta. Just Kenta getting it, coming in here. So Kenta coming in. We get him at No Surrender. This New Japan thing is growing. We'll talk about that. What's up, Datala? But yeah, pretty exciting news there that we'll get to and continue to talk. But next up is another qualifier, that PCO versus Shira match that we alluded to happening. And PCO is going to pick up the win here. So Myers and PCO both set up for the qualifying number one contenders match at No Surrender. PCO winning with the PCO Salt. I got to get better. I got to get all my images fixed for power rankings, I know. Because PCO having another darker look here, looking cool, man, as well. Got to get that updated. But so PCO advances. Love keeping him in that picture, the title picture as well. Gia's backstage, and she's following around Cardona, and he's upset, and he's going to go get Hendry now, but he runs into Myers, and Myers, he's eating shrimp. He's eating what was Cardona's shrimp, which was actually Hendry's, and he claps along, so you can see a little dissent here for Myers as well. It just feels like one of these things where Cardona's running into segment after segment of no one wants him here. He's ready to have a fit and leave, but first he's got the main event. Next up, Frankie's talking to Sammy. And Sammy is on his phone, setting up the next Pro Wrestling Revolver card or something. I don't know. But, woe is me. And Frankie's trying to convince him, hey, man, you shouldn't be with the design there, whatever. But the design come in and easily, get rid of him, tell Frankie to leave, da-da-da-da. But what I have here for the design, and I don't want to brush over, but only I do want to give a brush stroke of this at least. I thought this was look, sound, cohesiveness, what he's saying, the tone. This is the best Diener in this group has been for me. It keeps they're finding their comfort zone. And I like what they're doing. I like it. I like Khan getting to speak. I like Diener speaking down low in that tone and being cynical. It's all good stuff, man. It's all good stuff. I'm excited to see where it leads. Don't think it leads with Sammy. Even Frankie saying, is this a big ploy? So interesting they dropped that little seed there. But I'm excited to see where this goes, actually. We're going to talk with Matt and Tom. They're setting up the matches that will be before they kick it to Kevin Kelly in New Japan. And then the main event is going to be Joe Hendry defeating Matt Cardona for the DMC. And during this match now, retaining against Matt Cardona for the Digital Media Championship. We're going to get a little Myers here. Myers mistakenly, trying to slide the belt. Obviously Myers wasn't trying to help Hendry. Or was he? But could this lead to a Matt Cardona-Myers match before they go? I always love when Impact gives former tag teams the breakup match because they always do it right. It's always, no DQ. It's always all over and it's crazy. We could go into the list of people that have had these matches. The Wolves, obviously, at one point. But before that, did Beer Money have it? I know, obviously, that AMW was the biggest one that's in the back of my mind. But yeah, so Joe Hendry picking up the win here. Love that they played Edge's Bitch at the end. Moose got to come out as well. This felt... Well, let me not skip to that. Let me talk about Joe Hendry and the Edge's Bitch. I'm glad they played that again because when they said it originally, felt like the crowd maybe Did it recognize what he was talking about when they played this as much as you possibly can, is what I'm getting at. I'm all over the place, but I'm going to try to... Look, it gets over. And they want Hendry... obviously, they're giving him all the big victories, giving big-time players here. He's one of their next big things, right? That video is going to win over anybody. And the more he can get in with the crowd, the better. Sky's the limit for him as well, I believe. I do say that maybe with the videos and the talking and the promo, it might be a little overkill. We might be getting to the point where when Hendry's over enough, we don't need that song, promo work, and then a video. He doesn't always have a video, but I'd rather that be the thing and then not oversaturate the Joe Hendry market. But hey, I'm just nitpicking here, but just saying. Either way, they looked great. And this is, man, I'm going to say this honestly. I had not legitimately brought a tear to my eye, but having this belt in the main event, having it look like a prime time, like a big deal, have two big deals in the match, and Matt Cardona and Joe Hendry having some stuff afterwards with Myers and Moose, making this belt feel like, I know I hate saying this, and I always give you guys that precursor, but if we're going to have a mid-card title, TNA and Impact have been trying forever. I know a lot of you think the X Division, but look, I love the X Division prestige-wise. I get it. Totally. Even maybe past the Worlds is the X Division for me. And the reality of wrestling history. But as far as on the show, we've been clamoring for that belt that sets up the main events for the next whatever, right? Having people who were on the cusp of being in the world title picture or are always in the world title picture that just need something to still keep them relevant. That's where I've always wanted a title, and they've tried. They really have over the years. But this is the first time that it's been presented. There's a lot of you, just same with the Knockouts tag, throw them in the trash, throw it in the trash. Shame. The lineage of this belt, the look of this belt, the prestige they're putting within this belt, every match and every feud has been phenomenal for me, man. Yes, it had some hills to get over, but where we're at right now, totally different than any other title that we've had that we've tried to put in that position. So kudos to everyone that's involved in that, and of course the great lineage, including Cardona and the current champion, Hendry. So, and Myers, and technically Moose, but yeah, I thought this was great. Felt like a main event. DM title main events. Joe Hendry, number one in the rankings. Title been elevated like crazy. I agree. But what did you guys think of the show? For many reasons, including the elevation of that title and everything else they're doing, I gave it an A, man. A- if you want to be, whatever. But let me know what you guys thought. That's what really matters. We're trying to grow Impact one fan at a time, one friend at a time, as well as us, of course. But Impact being the community that really matters for us. Dotala saying it was a good show. Yeah, I thought it was a good show. Elevated, continued. I like it. But I went with an A- whatever. It's been a great week for Impact. Yeah, let's get into that because I want to keep this on a good time frame for you guys, and as myself as well. Let's get into those Super Bowl parties. And then for those of you watching later, make it easy for you to watch in one sitting. But we have a lot of hot topics to get to, all kind of in the same world of things, and kind of hit on some of them, but we'll go a little deeper. First, I want to talk about No Surrender. I just want to mention the lineup that's there so far. We got Josh and Rich in the main event, which is not going to disappoint. Masha and Mickey, which is picking up steam, and it, of course, is going to be a great match. First time matchup, right? Gresham versus Bailey in the pre-show, the countdown. I mean, come on. And then Tiana versus Giselle as well. So 4 bangers already announced. More to come. I expect an X Division match. I'm sure there'll be a tag. Oh, no, we have the, the 6-man as well. Time Machine versus Bullet Club, including Kenta. How do you forget that, right? So 5 bangers of a match, February 24th. Make sure you check it out. Our post No Surrender show. So that Sunday, Lucha will be back for that, which I'm really excited about. We get to talk No Surrender. One thing I just retweeted on the Twitter account because I think it was Jamie Stay Ready. Shout out to him for letting me know, or letting us know, I believe it was him, about Aiden Prince. Aiden Prince, man, coming in looking smooth, getting some rub with Impact again. Hoping for my Team Canada, Aiden Prince. Love this kid's work, man. And unfortunately, he's got a out indefinitely injury. So I shared his thing where he's asking, for the love and the prayers, man. And it was about 10 days ago, it seems. So make sure you go and shower him with love and hope for him to come back, because dude was just picking up steam, and he deserves it, man. So that sucks. RK Shuttlesworth, good name. What's up, buddy? I just watched Bailey vs. Gresham on GCW this weekend, so maybe this is why it is on the pre-show. Don't know. Yeah, it's possible. It could be, we've already seen it kind of thing. I'm sure wrestling fans do, obviously go across the spectrum, so it's possible. Could be just one of those things where they're setting up for, hey, trying to sell this stuff, and they've been giving away a lot of great matches. So, this one just, I hope they don't announce another one. I hope it's just a 30-minute match of Gresham versus Bailey. But hey, thanks for that, RK Shuttlesworth, and welcome. So, love to Aiden Prince. Make sure you go give him the love there. One thing I want to touch on as well is Deonna's contract. I already mentioned that earlier, and remember last week I said if it happens this week, the rut row moment. I had it for me because I'm just finding this out yesterday, I think it was. But Deonna's contract got rolled in for that, for that extra year. So we're going to have her at least to January of 2024. Now, sometimes you're not going to invest too much in the person you don't know if they're going to resign or not. I hope that Deonna's a different situation there. But if not, her being on TV in some capacity is a win. Does that mean that she's going to lose to Giselle? I don't know. I don't think that is necessarily the route now that I know that. When they're not trying to write her off, to my knowledge. But Deonna's contract, in good news, continues to January 2024. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think she resigns? Do you think she sticks around? Once again, you don't always have to work with your significant others. Some choose not to, intentionally. But it doesn't hurt that, Macklin's obviously becoming a primetime player here as well. I saw him say something about working together, which I thought was just music to my ears. Where he said they asked him would they ever team up and make it, an on-air thing, and he said only if it makes sense. Great answer, man. Because does Macklin and her, the characters, really make sense together? No. So, but I thought that was pretty cool. But I would love to see, obviously both of them stay with us for the long haul. And then one other little shout out that I want to give Deonna, because she was also in the put this out on WrestleZone, I believe, just about the younger cats being open to veterans giving them criticism. And we keep hearing that's not the case in some places. People not always open to hearing what the elderly have to say. Elderly, the older heads, the elders. It's taken over business a lot more, I would say. Where that's not the case. Like the hey, take my word for it kind of thing really doesn't. No one really applies that anymore. But I always say the same thing. If you can learn from someone, learn. Soak up as much knowledge as possible. So it's cool Deonna's saying that here as well. And Impact has a lot of great veterans on the roster that really can give these these kids the tools they need, or at least prep them for it for the future. And I mean, look at the people they have on here. Gail's in charge of the knockouts, for God's sake. So a lot of good talent there. And maybe that's another thing is Impact is never, we're not hiding the reason of why they can or can't sign people or keep people or not. But the locker room they generally keep are kind of the same mindset of people, it seems. People there to be team players, to put out their best work, to grow, and to learn, it seems. And those who don't stick around, don't stick around. They got to come in and then go out. But pretty good sign. Love Deonna saying that. And let's keep this rolling, because there's a couple things that are really glaring, right? We got New Japan to talk about, so let's talk about that. There's a couple things that go with it. First being March 30th, Thursday, March 30th, which is interesting. So it's obviously going to film that day. I doubt it's going to be live. Is it going to be live to tape? Is it going to go on afterwards? Or is it going to, because it's not going to be pay-per-view, right? The team up with New Japan. The multiverse. I don't know. But either way, March 30th, it's a Thursday. And I said last week, it's a live pay-per-view. Okay. Do you know what time? Get all. I should be prepared, but you know how I am. But either way, look, the two first matches we get announced are Ospreay versus Mike Bailey and Josh Alexander versus Kushida. So, after Impact, since it's time zone difference. Perfect. Okay. Cool. We'll get more information on that. I'll do some actual research and find out the time zones for everybody and go for there, because I'm sure it's based on Eastern, right? That's how they usually do. Should be interesting either way. So we got two matchups already announced. Deonna kind of transitioning to or using that as transition as well, mentioning, hey, announce the knockouts matches. So there's going to be some knockouts matches, obviously, that are going to be included in this. Well, I mean, obviously that's a given that there should be or there would be, but the fact that New Japan's part of it, it makes you wonder. Look, sometimes I gamble with my breadcrumb following. It doesn't always. I was saying give us stardom. It doesn't always pay off. It doesn't always lead to the right answer, but I'm always willing to admit when I'm wrong. Mercedes, I said I'm not giving up on, because in some capacity I think she crosses the line. Last week I said New Japan, what they're going to do with Strong. Everyone automatically assumed, paywall, they're going to go to ROH thing, they're going to team back with ROH. And look, I'm sure the money offered, if there was any, would be much better than what Impact offered to put it on Access TV for another year. Look, you got to remember, Impact or Access TV pays for New Japan content to be on their channel. So you would have to assume, again, we're seeing little things like the Kevin Kelly thing, the transition there to make it more relevant that the show's going to be on during Impact or after Impact. They do that little plug. We're seeing some more Impact New Japan people be on Impact. We got Kenta obviously being announced, and now we got this. But it just made too much sense for the company in which, or the TV channel in which you just signed with for another year, you just re-upped with, to kind of go all in with that company. And it looks like that's the way they're going to do it. And obviously I haven't done my research. I admit that. But it was told to me by a few of you here when I mentioned it, that maybe the reason New Japan Strong isn't continuing is more so that, the numbers weren't as great as they would like it to be. And if you can or piggyback, I guess is the term, but not really, because it's more 50-50, if not 55-45. With Impact, who obviously needs some kind of house shows, so some extra matches or events taking place for this to happen. I know I'm drifting off. I apologize. I'm trying to form my things as I go here, but it just made too much sense from a business standpoint. It made too much sense for, I think, a trust standpoint. Now, look, we're not back there. I don't know what happened with New Japan's relationship with AEW. I don't think it's out of the realm of reality that it doesn't happen, in a more consistent way like it's happening with us. I mean, they did have the Forbidden Door thing. But I think at the end of the day, it goes into something I said last week, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just as simple as Access TV pays for it, so they're going to build a better relationship. But I think a lot has to do, and Rocky Romero said about Scott D'Amore rebuilding that relationship, with just that. I think New Japan is not hurting for cash. I think New Japan can make a choice based on what suits them the best. Is that exposure? Okay. And money? It's possible. Or could it be respecting and trusting the person you're doing business with. I said this last week. New Japan always does great business with Impact. They trade wins, they trade talent. Our talent going over there isn't just taking L's left and right. This feels like a partnership like they had with ROH, and they're comfortable with that. Maybe it's because they are the bigger entity in a way, right? Or have the bigger clout right now. Maybe that's what it is, and they feel comfortable doing that. And maybe now AEW not as much. I just don't know. I see IO saying AAA and AEW having issues as of late. I do know that. I'm not going to insinuate. Pro wrestling. I hope AEW continues to kill it. Do what they're doing. Good for them. But right now, New Japan is choosing to work at Impact on a pay-per-view March 30th. And it has Ospreay versus Bayley. So I'm happy. See, RK Shuttlesworth saying maybe the knockouts part of it has to be set still, especially considering Mercedes is a big question mark. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. We'll see where the cards fold, man. Or what's the term? I don't know. Anyways, all I know is we should all be excited about this. I said this in a comment under an Impact something or another announcement on YouTube. And had some people push back a little bit. I don't know if pushback is the right term. But we have come a long way from taking Okada and making him Okada and giving him that gimmick. We've come a long way from taking the tag team titles off of Team 3D and giving them to British Invasion without them asking or wanting that to happen. We've come a long way for it. We've rebuilt that bridge. Scott has rebuilt that bridge, and the amount of kudos he should deserve here is beyond whatever I can say in a couple minutes. That relationship is that mending is literally what we're seeing play out on our television right now. Seeing AEW wants to do business with New Japan once in a while, probably, but AEW is largely focused on itself and ROH. Yeah, possibly. Very, very possible. I mean, he's got a lot on his plate. I agree. So that could be another part. Maybe just time and whatever. But at the end of the day, they're working with us in a big capacity. And as Io said there, it's 11 years in making with this crossover show. Yeah. And as someone who has watched since day one, literally since day one, and to have to have to be part of the fandom when the New Japan shit went down, and now to be part of the fandom when the New Japan stuff is going down in the positive way, it's remarkable, man. I'm excited to be a witness to it. I think it could be the tipping point. Obviously, let's see what the rest of the card is. We're already getting Kenta. We're already getting their young guns. They gave us Yuya, man. And now we're getting Ospreay and Bayley and Kushida and Alexander. So they're taking care of us. But how far does that go? So Jay White's contract with New Japan is not over yet, it seems. He has to leave Japan. But he doesn't have to leave New Japan. Losing to Hikuleo in a loser leaves town match. Does that mean he shows up? I mean, he's been here before. Scott said this is only the first. Can't wait for more multiverse shows. I'm there with you. Yeah, guys, this is just, a great example. I said the re-signings were another one. Keeping talent way before their contract runs up or trying to extend them before that. Rolling over talent, keeping them, getting new people in here, and not just letting them beat all of our talent and testing the waters, kicking the tires on them before we give them the big push. There's a lot of positives happening within Impact right now. And if anyone tells you that there isn't NPCs, man, they're NPCs. Because this is probably the most fully on Steam Impact has been in quite a long time. This partnership helping out a tremendous amount. And it's only the tipping point. Does it mean that Ospreay's sticking around for years and years? No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean Jay White's sticking around if he does come for years and years, so on and so on. But man, it's just pretty exciting shit. And as Impact fans who have taken a lot of shit for a very long time, you should enjoy this, you should celebrate it, and you should 100% watch March 30th for this, which is going to be insane. So guys, let's wrap this up. I want to thank you to those who have been part of the chat, Datala, Burr, Io, RK Shuttlesworth. And to those who are normally part of the chat that will go watch us on YouTube, I thank you ahead of time, my audio listeners and beyond. Obviously, make sure you check out GoGoPowerRankings this Tuesday, see their reaction to the Power Rankings. And then this Thursday, Kenny King versus Rich Swann, Masha versus Lish Edwards, Eddie in the number one contenders qualifier versus Heath, and Rhino in his qualifier versus Macklin. A lot to look forward to upcoming weeks of Impact Wrestling and beyond. No surrender, and so thereafter. Guys, jump on the bandwagon or come out of the shadows. Now's a good time to be an Impact fan. And I thank you for being a friend of this show, watching it with me. Those of you who reached out after last week's show, really cool stuff, man. Thank you to the team, our team, to Chris Saletta and everyone beyond that have written me. You guys know what I'm talking about. Love, love, love. Appreciate you guys. Check in, obviously, this Tuesday, as I said, with Go Power Rankings. Thursday for Impact Wrestling and hopefully talking bloody nonsense. Go enjoy the Super Bowl if you choose to watch. If not, go enjoy some New Japan Wrestling. Right? All right, guys. See you next week. Thank you again. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.